ChatGPT was born out of nowhere, reaching 1 million users in just 5 days after its launch. Then it began to grow exponentially, and the monthly active users exceeded 100 million at the end of January this year. The capabilities of a new generation of large language models have swept almost all industries. In various fields such as cultural creation, education, finance, law, art design, and medical care, programming, etc., it is possible to bring fundamental changes, which has also caused panic among many practitioners. The fabled prospect of artificial intelligence taking over jobs seemed to come at once. Then, with the rapid development of AI and a huge working population in the future, is the so-called demographic dividend still an indispensable factor in economic development? This question is especially relevant for countries like China and India that have long relied on their vast human resources to drive economic growth. China is currently dealing with a demographic shift. Pessimism about China's economy has grown since India's population surpassed China's. China's population began to show negative growth this year. There are concerns about a shrinking population, which may lose its demographic dividend due to aging. The shrinking workforce and slowing economic development have put enormous pressure on China's pension system. Some economists even believe that China's labor shortage will increase manufacturing costs and increase inflation in countries such as the United States that rely heavily on imports from China, potentially dragging down the global economy. In response, China began encouraging births. The one-child policy has long been abolished, and the restrictions on the three-child policy have also been abolished in some places, and people have more freedom to reproduce. Recently, Liang Jianzhang, the executive chairman of the board of directors of Trip Group, who has been concerned about population issues, offered money to encourage childbirth. Trip announced that from July 1, 2023, global employees who have been employed for 3 years, regardless of gender, will receive a cash subsidy of 10,000 yuan per year for each new child born, and the payment will end after the child turns 5 years old. Not only China, Japan, but also many countries around the world in Europe are concerned about the challenges brought about by the decline and aging of the population. But after the new round of AI revolution triggered by ChatGPT, the world is undergoing unexpected changes. Globally, 18% of jobs could be automated by artificial intelligence, according to a Goldman Sachs report. Goldman Sachs also believes the impact will be greater in high-income countries. Take the United States as an example. Although generative artificial intelligence may increase the annual growth rate of U.S. labor productivity by 1.5 percentage points, 15% 35% of jobs will be replaced, and the most easily replaced jobs are office, administration, lawyer, and engineering. Of the jobs least likely to be displaced are construction, installation, and maintenance and hands-on jobs. The hardest hit are educated white-collar workers. IBM recently announced that about 7,800 jobs could be replaced by artificial intelligence and automation. McKinsey's research report, The Economic Potential of Generative Artificial Intelligence, released in June, the figures are even more shocking. Analysts have studied 850 occupations, more than 80% of the global labor force, in 47 countries and regions, and concluded that the time for AI to replace human work has been greatly advanced by 10 years. Between 2030 and 2060, 50% of occupations are gradually replaced by AI. The development of generative AI and other technologies may automate 60% to 70% of current jobs. Among them, industries such as banking, high-tech industries, and life sciences have been most affected. In this context, having a large employed population may not necessarily be an indispensable force for economic development. AI may replace manpower and become the biggest driving force for future innovation and development. ChatGPT has passed the 3 most challenging professional exams in the United States: the American Medical Licensing Examination, the Business Administration Examination, and the Bar Qualification Examination, with outstanding results, and the programming level is also increasing. The news works written by ChatGPT can also compete with professional journalists. A friend of mine in the fashion industry said that designers are also feeling a sense of crisis. In the future, junior jobs in various industries are likely to be replaced by AI. Perhaps, the truly promising future is the industry leaders in various industries, but for most ordinary people, it is not easy to find a job, especially an entry-level job. On May 22, OpenAI's founders published a blog post stating that within the next decade, AI systems will surpass expert level in most domains and be able to perform productive activities comparable to the largest corporations today. A reporter from CNBC recently asked Musk to give some advice to young people looking for jobs in the future when interviewing him. How the next generation can find the value of life in a world where artificial intelligence is omnipotent. Musk was silent for nearly a minute, and then felt a little helpless. Said, "That's a hard question to answer. I just want to say, follow their heart in what they find interesting or fulfilling, and as useful as possible to the rest of society." Many people are optimistic about the impact of future work. Recently in New York, I had a discussion about AI with Professor Kathleen R. McKeown of the Institute of Data Science and Engineering at Columbia University, Francesca Rossi, a researcher at IBM Watson Lab, and David Chen, founder of Angel Vest. They all believe that old jobs will be replaced, but at the same time new jobs will be created. It's like when the railroad replaced the horse-drawn carriage and the emergence of the internet. The advent of the railways replaced horse-drawn carriage-related jobs, but brought endless new opportunities. New towns, new lines, and new connections brought new job opportunities to countless people. The same is true for the internet. The internet has almost created a parallel world, creating huge industries and productivity. In China alone, the number of people directly employed in the internet industry is close to 20 million, and the number of people employed based on the internet is even larger. Among them, only flexible employment, the number is as high as 200 million people. But the new round of AI revolution represented by ChatGPT is very different. ChatGPT is doing subtraction. While improving social productivity as a whole, a large number of existing jobs will be replaced. Of course, ChatGPT has various problems now, and there will be false information and errors in the generated content. At present, most people's work is still safe. However, in the long run, having a large working population may no longer be necessary for economic development, not only in terms of production, but if most people's jobs are replaced, consumption power will inevitably affect the economic stimulus. So the population crisis may not be as serious as previously thought. Perhaps while AI brings a huge impact, solving the population crisis is an unexpected benefit. But it will also bring earth-shaking changes to social governance and the way of human existence. In the early hours of this morning, while we were still asleep, Meta on the other side of the ocean did a big thing, released the free commercial version Llama 2. Llama 2 is a continuation of the large Llama 1 model, with substantial technical advances in data quality, training techniques, capability assessment, safe training, and responsible release. In today's AI era, where the willingness to share research is the lowest in history and the regulatory dilemma is the highest in history, Meta's step has undoubtedly brought significant progress to the large model ecosystem. From the technical report, the basic model of Llama 2 is stronger than GPT-3, and the fine-tuned chat model can match ChatGPT. It is believed that the follow-up Llama 2 will help enterprises achieve more customized and cost-reducing products. The following is Zuckerberg's manifesto about Llama 2 released on Facebook, and it is called the next generation product of the big model. We are collaborating with Microsoft to launch Llama 2, the next generation of our open-source large language model. Llama 2 will be freely available to researchers and commercial users. Meta has been involved in open-source endeavors, from the leading machine learning framework PyTorch, to models like Segment Anything, ImageBind, and Dino, to AI infrastructure as part of the Open Compute project. We're always pushing the boundaries of the industry and building better products. Open source drives innovation because it makes new technologies available to more developers. At the same time, making software open source means more people can review it, identify and fix possible problems, which improves security. I believe that more progress will be unleashed if the ecosystem is more open, which is why we are open sourcing Llama 2. Today, we released the pre-trained and fine-tuned model Llama 2 with 7 billion, 13 billion, and 70 billion parameters respectively. Llama 2 pre-trained with 40% more data than Llama 1 and improved its architecture. For the fine-tuned model, we collect more than 1 million human annotated samples and apply supervised fine-tuning and RLHF, which is leading in terms of safety and quality. You can download the models directly, or access them through Azure and Microsoft security and content tools. We also provide an optimized version that supports running natively on Windows. I really look forward to seeing your innovations. Regarding the emergence and release of Llama 2, Yan LeCun, one of the three giants of deep learning, said that this will change the market structure of large models. A netizen quickly sent an application to Meta and got permission within a few hours, and is already applying. The OpenLLM large model leaderboard evaluated Llama 2 on 4 key benchmarks in the Looker AI language model evaluation harness. Among them, Llama 2-70B won the first place in indicators such as average score, scientific question arc, and common sense reasoning HELISMAG. The text multitask accuracy MMLU index was surpassed by the fine-tuning model Platypus 30B based on Llama 30B. The generated question answer is true. The truthful QA, MC, indicator ranks 8th. Paper address. Some key points of Llama 2. Meta has released multiple models, including the Llama base model with 700 million, 1.3 billion, 3.4 billion, and 7 billion parameters, as well as Llama variants of the same size. Meta increases the size of the pre-training corpus by 40%, doubles the context length of the model, and employs group query attention. Specifically, there are the following key points. Capabilities. After extensive testing, it was determined that this is the first open source model that can reach the level of ChatGPT in terms of non-coding. Code/math/inference. There is less discussion of code data in the paper, but one model outperforms the others in some evaluations. Multi-round consistency. A new method, ghost attention, GAT, is adopted to improve the model's multi-turn dialogue consistency. Reward model. To avoid the trade-off between safety and usefulness, 2 reward models are adopted. RLHF process. A 2-stage RLHF approach is adopted, emphasizing the important impact of RLHF on the model's writing ability. Safety/injury assessment. An exhaustive safety assessment was performed and specific methods were employed to enhance the safety of the model. License. The model is available for commercial use, but there is a certain limit on the number of users, that is, products with more than 700 million daily active users need to apply for commercial permission separately. Technical details of Llama 2. Hugging Face scientist Nathan Lambert also analyzed the technical report of Llama 2 in a blog. This model, Llama 2, is similar in structure to the original Llama. The main changes are in the data and training process, as well as increasing the context length and group query attention, GQA, and it has advantages in the applicability and inference speed of the chat function. Improved. The training corpus comes from public sources and does not contain data about Meta's products or services. The model is trained on 2 trillion data tokens, to improve performance and reduce errors, and try to delete data that contains a lot of private information. Papers are mostly about evaluation and fine-tuning, not creating base models. The paper then follows the RLHF pipeline, training a reward model and optimizing it using reinforcement learning, RL. In addition, the technical report also confirmed that the reward model is the key to RLHF and the key to the model. In order to get a good reward model, Meta collects a lot of preference data, which far exceeds the data that the open source community is using. Meta collects binary contrast data rather than other more complex types of feedback. This is similar to a Likert scale of 1 to 8, but focuses more on qualitative assessments such as significantly better, better, slightly better or about the same/not sure. They use multiple rounds of preference, where the model's responses come from different stages of model training. Meta focuses more on usefulness and safety than honesty, using different instruction. Additionally, during the data collection process, the team added additional safety metadata showing which responses from each round of the model were safe. During the modeling phase, they ruled out all cases where the chosen response was unsafe and the others were safe, because they believed that safer responses would be preferred by humans. Reward model. The researchers trained 2 reward models, one focused on beneficialness and the other on safety. These models are built based on language models, replacing the original model head with a linear regression layer. They always use the latest chat model in order to reduce the distribution mismatch in RLHF training. Some key technical details include: the starting reward model was trained on open source data and used to generate early supplier data. They kept some Anthropic's innocuous data, 90% of their own, but no specific reason was given. They only trained for 1 epoch, preventing overfitting of the reward model. The average accuracy of the reward model is in the 65 to 70% range, but it hits 80 to 90% accuracy on the significantly different labels. Other interesting findings. A margin term, proportional to the confidence of the preference, is added to the loss function of the reward model to increase the beneficialness. As the model is trained and improved, the data agrees more and more with the model output. The trained reward model outperforms reward model cues generated using GPT-4 in evaluation. The graph shows that the accuracy of the reward model improves over time. It is worth noting that although the Open Assistant reward model may not be highly recognized, the performance of GPT-4 as a reward model provides a benchmark for other models. When discussing the fine-tuning results, Meta mentioned that the accuracy of the reward model is a key indicator of the performance of Llama 2 chat. This fits with the understanding that RLHF exploits knowledge of the reward model. RLHF and fine-tuning. Meta improves model performance by using the RLHF method. As shown in the figure below, the best reward model is used to evaluate various models to show how RLHF can push the generated text to a higher reward. Meta iteratively trains 5 RLHF versions, each with improved data distribution. Meta pointed out that third-party SFT, supervised fine-tuning, data diversity and quality are often insufficient to meet the LLM alignment needs of conversational instructions. Meta significantly improves results by filtering high-quality examples from third-party datasets. They also emphasize the importance of the amount of annotated data for reproducibility. Meta observed that different annotation platforms and vendors can lead to significant differences in model performance, so data inspection is still very important when using vendors to obtain annotations. What they did was to validate data quality by comparing human annotations with model-generated samples. After the data quality was established, Meta began to focus on the reinforcement learning, RL, part. They found that, even with skilled annotators, individual writing styles can vary widely. A model fine-tuned on SFT annotations learns this diversity, but also learns some poor annotations. They point out that model performance is limited by the writing ability of the most skilled annotators. Meta does acknowledge that this process requires significant computational and annotation resources. Throughout the RLHF stage, reward modeling data is crucial for model improvement. The conclusion is that an effective RLHF requires a moderately sized team. While a team of 1 to 3 people can issue a good command model, implementing RLHF may require at least 6 to 10 people. That number will decrease over time, but this type of work requires contracts and strong ties with outside companies, which always take time. Additionally, the Meta compares the basic differences between the methods and when to use them. Rejection sampling, RS, does a wider search, generating more data per queue, while PPO makes more updates to the reward model. The difference between the final methods is not significant, similar to the findings of WebGPT. In RLHF before, only rejection sampling was used, and then PPO and rejection sampling were used for fine-tuning in the last step. In some evaluations, PPO has a slight advantage. Evaluate. Papers evaluate their models in a number of ways. On automated benchmarks, such as the acronym OpenLLM Leaderboard, MMLU, ARC, etc., Llama 2 outperforms any other open source model by a wide margin at all scales. Models also score better on less obtrusive benchmarks like MMLU due to their data-heavy work and RLHF tuning. However, their model did not perform well in comparison with closed-source models. In addition, the paper also delves into the current popular evaluation techniques. Human annotators and LLM as a judge are popular due to their ubiquity and usability. Although human evaluations may be subject to some limitations and subjectivity, the results demonstrate the dominance of Meta in the open-source space. They adopted the model as a technique for judging and showed the concept of RLHF as a function of time with ELO diagrams, which is similar to Anthropic's AI work. In terms of performance, their model surpasses ChatGPT after RLHF v3, which can be seen in the figure that the PPO method provides a certain improvement. This paper conducts several evaluations to demonstrate its general capabilities, including modeling rewards. Test highlights of the reward model. Reward model scores are adjusted to accommodate human rater preference assessments, albeit with a larger margin of error. Comparisons are made with reward models trained on open source datasets to demonstrate possible implementations in the open source domain. Highlights of human/model evaluation. Evaluate the model on the output of ChatGPT and Llama 2 Chat to avoid the model from improving its own results due to style preferences. Using inter-rater reliability measures, such as WETS AC1/2, these statistical tools are specifically designed for this work. Acknowledging the limitations of human evaluation, including large evaluation prompt sets not covering all practical applications, lack of evaluation on encoding/reasoning, and only evaluating the final dialogue turn.